One very important trait which is necessary to make money in the market is to have the resilience to a falling market, or when the market panics. For example, if there is a war in Ukraine and the market comes down, the ability to sit tight without doing anything, this comes from various things. It comes, one, from saying I have adequate money for the next 5-7 years, so I don't really have to bother. It comes from having an insurance for everything else, insurance for your health, insurance saying, okay, if I lose my job, I'll get another job. I've got other sources of cash flow, like say even dividend, or I have enough money in liquid fund, etc. So all these things go to reinforce and keep you resilient towards that, right? But having been resilient, it does not mean you say, oh, I am resilient, so I will hold a share from 100 to 0, or say from 300 to 0. You cannot do that, but you have to have the resilience. You have to be resilient enough to know that I don't need to panic here in these things. It's not easy to learn it, but it is a completely necessary trait, right? So once in a while, even for people with so much of experience, just by spending time in the market will throw a googly, right? Exactly at a time when I think the market is overpriced and I need to remove some money from equity just because I think I'm smarter than the market, and I will put it into debt, and I'm thinking and planning and doing all this, redo my asset allocation, and that is exactly when things go wrong. I go and sell, and then the market soars up. These things will happen. Now if it does happen, it just means your analysis was wrong. The market is never wrong. The market does what is necessary for the market to do at that point in time. So the market will continue to do that. So your resilience means to be able to say, okay, I think something is going wrong here, so therefore I will sell some shares. It's perfectly all right. And also say, if it goes down beyond a particular price, I may buy it back. So have all your strategies in place, but being resilient is very useful, so that you don't get carried away by what you hear in the media or your friends panicking and things like that. You should not have to worry about those things, right? So at the heart is our problem is how we react emotionally to emotional events. So when a person was identified saying he has cancer, and MNC bank approached him to buy insurance for his children, he thought it was such a brilliant idea. He went and committed a big amount of insurance for his children, and the children had no need for insurance. And after his death, luckily there was enough money left in the estate to pay for those policies, but how would have they paid if this money was suddenly not available, right? So when you're emotional, don't take decisions, right? So when you've been bereaved, you lost your husband, you lost your wife, you lost your child, or something like that, that's a great vulnerable time for somebody to come and missell a product to you. And also when the client has died, to go to and meet the wife and say, oh, put all this money in ULIPs, etc., is very easy, very tempting. So be very careful when you are in that stage, when you are emotionally vulnerable. It's your daughter's marriage day after tomorrow, you need money, you might sign off your house for a fraction of the value, right? So be careful about those emotional times when you make wrong and bad investments, or maybe bad borrowing, or whatever it is, right? We always think we want to buy at the bottom and sell at the top, but I can find many cases where I have bought at the bottom, bought at the top and tried to sell at the bottom, right? So these things have happened. It's not that it does not happen. Also realize that many people will come and talk to you that, oh, in 1973 there was an oil crisis, or something like 1929, what happened? Obviously both of you have not gone through that experience, right? So it is just a hearsay experiences are not so difficult to handle. Okay, let me put it this way. We've been watching a film called Kashmir Files. Many people have been watching this film. I've also watched it. Now that you feel bad that this happened, but to me, the Shiv Sena attack on us, on South Indians, when in 1969, was much more easy to remember, because a stone flew over my head when I was sleeping. It flew over my head, so I will never forget that. So to me, जैसे हिंदी में कहते हैं, आप बीती और जग बीती, आप बीती यादें ज़्यादा रहती है, जग बीती याद रहती है, but you remember more of personal experience which you go through, right? So this is what have I bought some shares at very high price and then sold at the bottom? No, not sold at the bottom, because if I make a mistake of buying at a high price and I realize that I have made the mistake, I cut my losses. I don't wait for my 450 to go to zero to be able to sell it. That much I think I have been able to control. So developing emotional resilience is really part of the experience. You also have to understand how the investment career will really perform. So if you really started during bad times, during recessions, during mandis, you're very well off, because it means you would have worked on a very small salary from a person who was refusing to even give you an appointment, but you've got a job there. How well will you be prepared for doing that job, and how much will you learn from there, right? All those things are going to determine your portfolio. You have to also understand that history does repeat itself, but you do not know in exactly the same form. It is not exactly the same shares which will fall. There will be a different share. Company with very good PE, very good growth over long periods of time could lose. If the petrodollar is under threat, then the US dollar may not rise so much against India. So if you are holding on to some shares hoping that one day there will be a buyback or something like that, you could be mistaken. So understand what works, what doesn't work, what may work, what may not work. The proper use of history is to understand that there are various conflicts and there is a contrafactual conclusions which you may have to arrive at. And it's very difficult to arrive at all these things with doing it alone. So maintain a diary in which you write down the mistakes that you have made in the past, what you have done. Sit and talk with your friends, brother, sister, whoever is willing to listen to you, right? You might have a strategy that, I'm a buy and hold guy, I just sit tight and the price comes back. That might be true for some companies, it might not be true for some companies which could just suddenly disappear. It may be true for a Larsen & Toubro, it may be true for a Voltas, it may be true for Blue Star, right? Some of these companies it might be true, and it may not be true for many other companies. You have no clue what hit you, right? So we are emotional for various reasons, and the investment is an emotional journey, but making sure you know that because of emotion you're making this mistake and things like that. Once you understand how vulnerable we all are to behavioral finance, I think life gets a little easier to earn well, invest well, spend well, and plan for our retirement. That is money for everything, provided you act with a little restraint and understand the limitations of the investing process. Thank you.